Live. What's up, everyone? Aaron Negler here with Cheesehead TV with a late night edition of Extra Cheese. Did a couple chats this morning, and then the day kind of got away from me. Had Live X. Things are crazy here in New York, as I'm sure you're all aware. Things are moving rapidly on the social distancing front, the Manhattan getting like a ghost town front. But now I'm back in my humble abode, catching up on all the other news around the league, and I thought, hell, got a beverage here. Some great moves being made across the NFL landscape, from Stefon Diggs being traded to Buffalo for a major haul. That's actually, I think, a pretty damn good move on the Vikings' part, unfortunately. To Amari Cooper breaking the bank down there in Dallas. Mike McCarthy's got to be a happy guy tonight. And just thought I'd jump on and say, what's up? The Packers obviously made a couple moves early today, signing a linebacker and an offensive lineman. And we're pretty quiet for the rest of the proceedings, but it's only day one of legal tampering. Don't forget, they made 4 signings post-legal tampering period last year. And that's not to say that I think Gutekunst is going to suddenly open the purse strings and get crazy in a couple days, but I do think there are still moves waiting to be made. Hello to everybody in the chat. Jay Man, Aaron, what a free agency day. The Bears still Bearsing. I believe that is called suck it. They, I believe, lead the league in tight ends under contract. They've got like 5, 6, 7, something ridiculous like that. And they capped it off today by giving Jimmy Graham a 2-year deal, $9 million guarantee. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Dustin, thanks for the super chat. Think we could trade for Robert Woods? I like it. Yeah, it's a possibility, but I tend to doubt it in a year where you're about to enter a draft that has the deepest wide receiving class in over a decade, if not more. I can't imagine Gutekunst going out and spending draft capital to bring somebody else in from outside. Now, because he runs in a McVay system, yeah, it's a possibility, and the learning curve is a lot less, etc. But I'd still be surprised if that was the kind of move Brian would make. Saul, thanks so much for the super chat. Snacks Harrison could be a good signing. Completely agree. I would absolutely love that. I've been on record here several times saying I would like to see Michael Pierce in green and gold from Baltimore. And certainly doesn't seem like a return to Baltimore is in the cards after some of the moves the Ravens have made the last couple of days. But I would absolutely love Snacks Harrison to be the consolation prize, if you will. There was some hemming and hawing after the end of the year about whether he would continue playing. He does want to play in 2020. And, hey, if there's a Ronin to be brought in to play alongside Kenny Clark, that's a guy I want. He is still an absolute beast in the middle of a defense, would completely shut things down on early downs as far as the run goes. And it would allow Kenny Clark to get upfield, disrupt the pocket, not have to worry about double teams. Because let me tell you, there's not a single human that can block Snacks one-on-one, especially on early downs. Sad we missed out on the Austin Hooper, or is it a shrug and move on moment? Oh, Garrett, for myself, it's very much a shrug and move on moment. I don't know how in on Hooper the Packers were. I know there was a lot of reported interest. There was certainly a lot of digital ink spilled about the possibility of that signing. But the Browns went and made him the highest paid tight end in the league. After the Jimmy Graham experiment blew up in their face, I'm not surprised at all. The Packers bowed out. And for myself, anyone who's watched this channel for any length of time knows I've been saying I didn't think the Packers were going to be able to compete financially, and that certainly proved to be the case. Ismail, can you explain Luke Getsy's new job as passing coordinator? Not really. I mean, essentially, it's a way of giving him a promotion. I don't think he'll stop coaching quarterbacks and or Aaron Rodgers. The whole reason he's got that gig is because Aaron wanted him back. He'll have a larger kind of scope, so to speak. But really, it's a title shift and or probably a bit of a raise. Probably extends his contract a little bit. It's a way just to keep him in the fold more than anything. Jitsu, thanks so much for the super chat. Is Teddy looking to start, or could he sit behind Rodgers? Sorry if this is a dumb question. Not a dumb question at all. I do think he's probably looking to start, but I would absolutely love if they signed him as a backup. problem is with Rodgers' contract, it makes it a little tough to justify playing a guy who most likely won't see the field. Now, you saw what Cleveland spent on a backup quarterback, bringing in Case Keenum because he has history with the new head coach, etc. I'm all for that. The problem is that the Browns have a quarterback on a rookie contract, so that makes it a lot easier to justify paying your backup to be the highest or second highest paid backup in the league. I would absolutely love Teddy Bridgewater to be the backup in Green Bay, but I don't think it's viable either financially and or in his kind of wheelhouse as far as looking for a starting gig. The man started 5 games for the Saints last year. His team won them all. Now, obviously, a part of that is the weapons around him, the system he's in, the guy calling plays. That's all true. But Teddy played well. He didn't play lights out. He wasn't a superstar, but he played well, and he certainly has shown that he could handle being a starter in this league, and is probably better than some guys starting across the NFL. My cousin is a Cardinals fan. I kept telling him how bad giving up a second-round pick for his contract and having to pay him is. I don't know, man. I don't know. I would. They've got the room, and they put him with Murray, who's an exciting young quarterback. You got Larry Fitzgerald, who's going to eat because people are going to be paying attention to Watkins. They shipped off David Johnson, got rid of that contract. I don't know, man. If I'm the Cardinals, I'm loving it. I think that's one of the worst deals ever in the history of the NFL. If you're talking about the Texans, I think they should have got a lot more back for Watkins. Just look at what Diggs just got going to Buffalo. Thank God for NFL free agency. Greetings from Ecuador. What's up? What's up, Brian? Thanks so much for checking out the chat. Thanks very much for tuning into Cheesehead TV tonight. Can we poach some Bill O'Brien incompetency? Well, Matt, I'm sure people are calling. It was funny. I thought Peter Bukowski put something out pretty interesting this morning when he talked about, it was kind of going around Twitter, this is what happens when you don't have a real GM, etc. He reminded us that, the reason that Brian Gutekunst is in Green Bay calling the shots is because Mark Murphy made sure that Gutekunst didn't have that interview in Houston. Don't forget, Mark Murphy literally called Brian Gutekunst in the middle of his dinner with Bill O'Brien the night before his scheduled interview. Literally the Saturday night, he kept bugging him, calling him on his phone, and offered him the job, ensuring that Gutekunst couldn't interview for the GM job in Houston. I mean, people give Mark Murphy a lot of crap, but that is a fantastic move on his part. For better or worse, I love how aggressive Goody is in free agency. I mean, yeah. Lorenzo, you're right. I messed that up. Thanks, buddy. For better or worse, I love how aggressive Goody is in free agency. Fill the depth kind of signings. I like, how aggressive he was last year. I think he had the wherewithal and the financial capability to be so. I think what he did today was smart. I wouldn't classify it as aggressive. I think most Packer fans see it that way because you're not used to seeing headlines coming out of 1265 Lombardi when free agency starts because Ted Thompson was there for so long. But, I understand what you're saying. It is fun to have your team in the mix, so to speak, and to watch, needs be addressed. Gotta say it like that. I like when we call him Goody. It's endearing. I try not to, actually. I read it when people say it here. I don't know. I try and call him Brian or Gutekunst. Goody, I don't know. It's a step of familiarity I'm just not ready to have yet. Now, maybe we hang out, have some beers sometime, then I'll start calling him Goody. I love these signings addressing needs, but more so opening up versatility in the draft. Duke hit the nail on the head right there. That's what those moves are all about, is making sure that they're not pigeonholed / constrained by need in the draft. They'll still most likely take the best player available at a position of need, but they're not forced to. If there's some great value sitting there at another position, they can take that, knowing that, okay, we've got a fallback. And if there is a guy there at one of those positions, either inside backer or offensive tackle, okay, now they've got competition. It's a great situation to be in. I understand it's not, a big splash signing in the sense that these guys are going to come in and take starting jobs and be stars. But as we've said all along, leading up to the opening of free agency, they're in a very different spot this year when it comes to the cap. They've got to be quite more judicious. Jeremy, thanks for the super chat. Can the Packers afford Walker? I believe you mean Delaney Walker, the tight end from Tennessee who was cut. Do they need a veteran tight end? I don't think they need one. I think he's the kind of signing they could look at, though. If he sits out there for a while, he also fits the mold when it comes to who they've signed so far this offseason, at least today, guys who have been cut, who are not street free agents and will not count towards the compensatory pick formula next season. I really like Walker's game. He has been banged up. There's no doubt about that. You could say the same about Kirksey, and they just made that signing. However, Kirksey is at the beginning or entering the middle of his career, whereas Walker is very much at the end. I tend to think they'll roll with youth. Maybe they look at somebody in the draft. But if Walker's out there, say, in a month, still sitting there and could be had cheap on a one-year deal, maybe he makes the call. Do you think Turner and Wagner could switch positions? Not really. I think Turner could handle the move to right tackle. I don't think Wagner can play guard, though. There's no doubt the right side is the lesser side now. I mean, there's no question about it. But we haven't even hit the beginning of the league year yet. They don't have to play on Sunday. Let's see how the offseason unfolds in regards to how they want to handle the right tackle position, because I don't think Wagner's the end of it. Snacks, Pierce, and Taylor Gabriel. Do you think, do you think all are possible? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think all three together are possible, but I definitely think every one of those guys is a possibility. And I'm glad you mentioned Taylor Gabriel, because I mentioned him earlier this afternoon on the radio as the one kind of wide receiver prospect that I would think would make a lot of sense. Has some history with LaFleur. Again, was cut, so wouldn't count to the comp pick formula. And I think still has some twitch and some real kind of escapability, explosiveness. Don't think he was used particularly well last year in Chicago. I'd love that signing. I think he would really augment things and give the Packers a different type of wide receiver. Something we've talked about here. They very much have a type, and he is not it. But I would like to see a different kind of wide receiver in Green Bay. No question. Jitsu, great chat. Wonder where Kenny wants his Brinks truck parked. No question. That guy's going to get paid. You saw earlier this afternoon, if you were on Twitter, Tyler on the Cheesehead TV account said, what kind of bills would you like in response to one of the signings today? What kind of bills would you like, Mr. Clark? And Kenny liked the tweet. He knows he's going to get paid. And I know I saw some kind of writing this afternoon, there haven't been any talks between the Packers and Kenny. There aren't going to be any talks between Packers and Kenny until this summer. And so just relax on all that. I'll be absolutely shocked if they sign Kenny anytime before July. Jake, thanks for the super chat. You surprised Schobert and Littleton are still there? No, not really. I think Littleton's still going to get paid, and we're still just a day into the negotiating period. Doesn't surprise me at all. It's an inside backer spot where I think if you want to get paid top dollar, it's going to take kind of manufacturing a market, meaning you got to get a couple teams bidding against you. And I don't doubt that teams are interested. But you saw the Raiders grabbed my guy, the kid from Chicago. I was really hoping the Packers would be in on that. But the Packers really jumped early on the Kirksey thing. So we'll see. Give it another 24 hours. Now, if both of them aren't signed in by, say, Thursday afternoon / early Friday, then I'll be surprised. And then I think there's a good chance that their number comes down and maybe the Packers make a move. I still think Littleton's a possibility. I really think that the Packers are interested there, and I don't think they're done at inside backer. We'll see. I'm talking free agency or the draft. We'll see. Again, we'll see how long he's out there. Do I have a trade crush I want them to pursue? Not really. Nobody that I gotta have. Not like drafting Kenneth Murray. That's a legit crush. Martinez and Bulaga basically played/priced themselves out of Green Bay. I wish them the best of luck elsewhere. Duke, I totally agree. I mean, hey, I know there are lots of people who chime in and try and bash Martinez, but man, I'm happy for the kid. He played 4 years, fourth round pick. He's absolutely about to break the bank. Good for him. I'm happy for him. I just don't think the Packers can afford it. They've got to get other guys paid at other positions, and they can get similar production. Maybe not lead the league in tackles production, but similar production. Maybe better coverage from a different, cheaper group. There's nothing wrong with that. Lorenzo. Why you make me go Sophie's choice here? I always love these. Here's a question. If it comes down to it and you had to choose between the two, do you re-sign Kenny Clark or do you re-sign David Bakhtiari, Agent 69? Don't make me choose between my children. I don't know. I'd probably flip a coin like Two-Face. Can we trade our first round pick to the Bears for Jimmy Graham? Now, those are the kind of questions I enjoy. It means you guys have been drinking as much as I have. Time to aggressively go after a wide receiver. Not necessarily. I think they'll find their groove. They'll pick their spots. I don't think they need to. They got to sign somebody. That's how you make mistakes. That's how bad signings happen. I think they'll let the market settle a little bit. You saw today, not a lot of wide receivers went, mostly because I think most teams and agents were waiting for the Cooper deal to get done, and now we've got that late tonight to kind of set things. But I don't think they have to. Like I said, Taylor Gabriel would make a lot of sense to me. I know Robbie Anderson has been the darling of Packers Twitter. I'm not in on that. Maybe the Packers are. They did try to trade for the kid. But we'll see what tomorrow and the remainder of the week brings. Freeman added to the running back room? I highly doubt it. They have to pay Aaron Jones. I can't imagine they pay Aaron Jones and then turn around and pay Freeman as well. I think his ending up in San Francisco is almost a fait accompli. Tony, thanks so much for the super chat. What are your thoughts on Ty Summers? I mean, active. He's a guy who was all over the map during training camp practices, during preseason games. Certainly made a ton of tackles, but also missed a bunch too. I'm very interested to see what kind of jump he can make. Clearly, stalwart on special teams, really helped him on teams. I don't think you can go into the season counting on him. I love the idea of putting him in the mix and see what you got as far as development goes. But I certainly am not counting on him to contribute from scrimmage in 2020. Jake, thanks so much for the super chat. With 10 picks, should we trade up from 30? I mean, should you? That's all in the eye of the beholder, right? It really depends on who Gutekunst might have an eye on and who he's in love with. And if there's a guy that they absolutely love, if there's, say, they've got a guy who has a blue chip grade, top 10 cat on their board, who inexplicably falls to, say, 20, maybe 23, 24, then yeah, they start calling and they try and trade up. But the likelihood of that happening is very slim. I tend to think they'll let the draft fall to them at 30. Now, maybe they trade up later in the draft, but I don't see them trading up from 30. It could happen. There are teams that need draft picks. There's no doubt about that. Seattle being one of them, and that has been their kind of stalwart trading partner so far under Gutekunst. I mean, he and John Schneider are certainly working the phones on draft day. But yeah, I tend to think it would have to be somebody who they would expect to be gone early that falls unexpectedly. Then maybe they make a move. And hey, Kenneth Murray could be that guy. I'd be all for it. You said that Kenneth Murray is your draft crush. I have indeed. But who would be your draft crush on the offensive side of the ball? Ooh, Jacob. Good question. Probably Jefferson, the wide receiver from LSU. Really love his game. Maybe Josh Jones, the offensive tackle from Houston. I like him, and I think he'll be available at 30. Those are the two guys on the offensive side of the ball that I'd really like to see in green and gold. What do you think about Jimmy Graham going to the Bears? I think it's hilarious. I love that Jimmy parlayed his friendship with Aaron Rodgers into a 3-year deal that turned out to be 2, but got a ton of guaranteed money. And then when he got cut, he got his friend Ryan Pace from his time in New Orleans to say, hey, how about 2 more years? Here's some $9 million guaranteed. I mean, the cat is so obviously done. The tank is empty, and he is still getting paid. And that's the American dream, right? God bless him. John, thanks for the super chat. New Cheesehead TVT, wash your hands, wash your butt, Devontae Adams. We talked about it actually during the season, but we just couldn't turn it around fast enough. The problem is like, unlike places like Barstool, we don't have a ton of apparatus behind us to produce merchandise. It's literally just Banky and I. I come up with a shirt idea and then we put it, and then I'm the one, like, I'm basically the fulfillment center at my desk. I've got boxes of t-shirts that I'm then stuffing into envelopes and mailing out. So it's a little different than other places. But once free agency dies down, maybe the coronavirus gets us out of our houses in a couple months, we'll have some more Cheesehead TV merch. But it is definitely on the back burner at the moment. Although, certainly have some ideas. Wouldn't Walker make sense? He is a LaFleur piece from Tennessee. He brings something Jimmy didn't to Green Bay. Well, we just talked about him a little while ago. I think he would, but he's got to be dirt cheap. You don't sign him for anything other than, say, like the veterans minimum with maybe some incentives. Is Jefferson a slot receiver like Deebo Samuel or Cobb? He was utilized in the slot quite a bit, but he can play anywhere. He can certainly run outside. He would be an absolute chess piece for Matt LaFleur. There's no question about it. Yes, he can run in the slot, and he could be incredibly effective there. But don't pigeonhole the kid. He can do it all. How many beers have you had? Oh, a few, Chad. A few. How you doing, buddy? Come to New York. Come to New York for the draft. Screw this coronavirus nonsense. Come to New York for the draft. Jake, thanks for the super chat. Bears fan at work said he's okay with Graham for jump balls. Just one minor issue with that. He can't jump. Well, okay. Now, wait a second. Now, everybody, Lord knows, I am not the biggest fan of Jimmy's game, but he can jump. Yeah. I don't think Rodgers gave him a ton of opportunities for those jump balls because Rodgers can't get anyone to jump off sides anymore, and that's the only time he throws those jump balls. So I'm just saying, maybe Mitch Trubisky or Nick Foles, if they trade for him, or whoever the Bears have at quarterback, maybe they'll give him more chances. And we'll see. Cameron, any trade rumors you've heard? No trade rumors. At least nothing percolating at the moment. When will we move Kenny to defensive end just like Raji? That's when his career really took off. I don't think they would do that. That was a very different system. And I think Kenny does move up and down cap-wise. I mean, they don't just put him at, like, say, 0 or 1 and tell him, okay, go smash into the center. He does move along the line a little bit, but I don't think he'll ever make that kind of change. What, Diggs to the Bills? Yes, welcome. You're only about an hour late. But, yes, Stefon Diggs traded to the Bills for quite a haul, quite a number of draft picks. Bills wanted their wide receiver. They certainly needed a weapon for their young quarterback, and they got it. But, yeah, I mean, unfortunately for Packers fans, the Vikings got a little bit of a treasure trove for Mr. Diggs. Is it safe to say BJ Raji isn't on hiatus? No, never. I will go to my grave saying BJ Raji could still come back. But yes, it's safe to say. Neg, or can you give us a good, bad, and ugly for day one tampering? Sure. The good, Packers didn't break the bank and got pieces that should help. The bad, the Bears signing Jimmy Graham, $9 million guaranteed. The ugly, Bill O'Brien. Packers win the day in the NFC North. Scott, I would have agreed up until about an hour ago, but the Vikings, that's a good move. I mean, I know they're down to, like, it's Adam Thielen and who is going to catch the football? And I know they extended Kirk Cousins, which makes you laugh. But that move, the haul they got for Diggs, that's pretty good. So I do think the Packers were smart today, but I do think the Vikings made some good moves, or made at least one good move. How will Lazard do against 4-3 defense in the slot on third down? That's awfully specific, and I think he'll do well. Although when they draft Justin Jefferson, they won't have to worry about it. How funny would it be if the Bears signed Andy Dalton? Well, they would have to trade for him, and that has certainly been something that's been reported. So we'll see. I love that there are almost 400 people here at 11:40 p.m. Eastern time on a Monday night. God bless you all in the offseason. Ooh, Josh Jones in the first, Tony Dye in the second. Like it, Javier? I love it. I like the way you're thinking. Iowa. Just Iowa. I like it. Blake Martinez future. Well, sure sounds like the Giants are in hot pursuit, which makes sense. They've been putting Band-Aids at middle linebacker forever. I think I'm interested to see if Martinez goes to New York. You know, I know they franchised Leonard Williams. What they're going to do up front to kind of keep guys off of him. If he can stay clean, well, I don't hate him in there. John, thank you so much. Yes, like, subscribe, and to that end, hit like, hit subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your family. Cheesehead TV. We're devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. And if you like what we do, please consider giving us $5 a month on the Patreon, patreon.com/CheeseheadTV. I got my next Madden game tomorrow night. And, you know, now starting tomorrow, I'm going to be working from home. So I'm going to be around a little bit more, a little maybe more available on these Madden challenges. So I think we'll have a few more every week. So join the Patreon if you want to try and kick my butt at Madden. Although no one's done it yet. You're looking at the undefeated Madden master at the moment. Can't thank you guys enough for chatting. Thank you so much. I'll be back tomorrow, bright and early, for day 2 of Tampering Madness. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night.